Welcome back to Fade the Mahoney. It's an annual tradition, the MLW season preview gambling show that we do each and every year. We release the world opening odds for all the teams over-unders, MVP, Cy Young, and World Series odds. So that's what we're going to do. First off, Jimmy Knorp joining us once again. Thanks, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
For those of you who don't subscribe to the MLW Patreon, you probably should, because Jimmy went through his power rankings recently. Some surprising entries in there. So you'll definitely get a feel for that when we go through the over-under numbers here. I want to give a quick shout out to our friend Jorgie, first one ever to respond to last year's episode. He hated it. He thought our number on the Gators was terrible. And Jorgie's bad at gambling. And also to all of our friends on the Gators, just settle down. Nothing personal about to happen in what's going to happen here. All right. Should we get to it?
Let's go.
Trevor,
Do it.
You ready?
Yep, I am ready. I got my spreadsheets up here. I got all my thoughts ready. I'm ready to skip Bayless this.
All right. We're gonna go from highest season wins down to lowest. So Gators, you are gonna have to wait a while before we talk about you. We're gonna start with the Mallards. All right. A team with the highest total wins is the Mallards. We've got them at 10.5. So just to recap, I'm sure you all know you all play MLW. You guys play 15 regular season games, right, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 10.5. That's a lot of games. They are pretty high on just about everybody's power rankings. So I'll open it up to you, Jimmy. I know you've already gone through this, but if you're just talking about that number 10.5, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super high on the Mallards this year. I've been on record saying that I think 7 teams in MLW could miss the playoffs this year. I think that's how competitive it is. I think the Mallards are the one team that I just can't see a world where they miss. 10.5, I'd go over. I've also been on record saying I could see this team winning 13 games. That's how good I think they are. I had the chance to face Jordan Robles very early in the season last year, and then I faced him again in the playoffs. Completely different on the mound. He completely figured it out. He's made the transition. I'm super high on Robles, super high on the Mallards. Tom had a great year last year. No reason to think that he can't repeat that. And I also like Caden on the mound. I think Caden doesn't get a lot of love on the mound. I think Caden can be a very good number 2. And I even think Robles and Caden have the chance to be the best 1-2 pitching duo on the mound this year. So super high on the Mallards.
Wow. Okay. Trevor, thoughts?
Man, you can't really say it much better than I agree with him. I would take the over on this number. Yeah, I don't have any more analysis. That's the best analysis you can give.
Okay. That's why we have Jimmy Knorp on the show. We'll get back to some Robles talk a little bit later when we talk about some of the awards odds. All right. Second in our season win rankings, and I need to stress this, there's a difference between our win rankings and our power rankings or the odds to win the World Series because we have to factor in scheduling. So our second rated team in terms of wins is the Cobras. All right, we've got the Cobras at 9.5 wins. Jimmy, I know where you're going with this one, buddy. So let her rip.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as high on the Cobras as I feel like other people are. I would definitely go under on that number. I think the Cobras are a good team. I think a lot of teams are good teams, though. That's the thing. And Brendan Baranowski was incredible last year. I think he's going to be great again. But to ask him to be that good again is just too much. I think there's got to be some regression there. I think people are a little high on Sawyer. I think Sawyer can be a great player, but outside of that one Pred series last year, he really didn't do too much. And just speaking from personal experience, facing that Cobras lineup, there's not really one guy in that lineup who you're really afraid of, like other teams have, like a Robles or a Kratch or Kyle and Saylor duo. So facing that lineup, I think there's some holes. Losing Drew is going to hurt him. But I'm excited to see Barron get some more at bats because I've also always said that I think Barron's the best hitter on that team, and he never gets the chance to hit. So I'm excited to see Barron get the hit this year.
All right. Well, Jimmy's feels pretty strongly about the first two. Trevor, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I do think that there is some world where they do go over this number, and the way that they would do that is obviously you get contributions once again from Brendan and Sawyer on the mound that are elite, and then Brennan takes a step with the bat where he actually gets to get some at bats this year and maybe makes an MVP type run in the regular season. The other thing is their schedule. I think it's likely that they are favored in probably 4 out of the 5 series. Obviously, it depends on how the season goes. The later series, they might not be favorites if they're not doing that well. But preseason wise, I think when you look at the schedule, they're probably favorites in 4 of the 5 series that they play. They get to avoid, I believe they avoid the Mallards and the Diamondbacks, correct? So I think they get to avoid 2 of the best teams. And so I think the schedule wise, this number makes sense. I wouldn't lean too heavily one way or the other. If I had to pick a side, I'd probably go under, but I could see it going either way.
All right, Trevor, you want to have our first bet of the show? I'll take the over, you take the under.
Sure, why not?
All right, that's Trevor and I like to bet $100 on these things if we have a disagreement. So that's
they have to be they have to have the lowest totals, I would bet, throughout the season, just because you don't expect this team to score a ton of runs as they didn't last year, and you expect their pitching to be elites. So I would expect a lot of their games to be low total games.
Definitely agree. All
right, and again, just to stress, the reason they have the second highest total is they get to play the 2 teams that missed the playoffs last year, and they avoid the 2 teams who played in the last game of the whole thing. So a little bit of schedule luck there. All right, third on our list at 8.5 wins is the Predators. Jimmy, 8.5. What do you think?
That's a really good line. I think 8.5. That's a tough one for me. Let's see. Who do they play out of schedule? They play us and not the Gators.
The D-backs, the Magic, the Mallards, the
Mallards,
the Cobras. That's their schedule. Not super easy.
Predators. I think I'm gonna go under. I think they're gonna win 8 games. That's my guess. The 4-man rule this year really hurts them, I think, because it's going to be very easy to pitch around Ryan Kretsch. Ward and Russell really got to step up. Not too sure who that 4th bat's going to be, whether it's going to be their draft pick, who's Jake Longman. I've heard Rudy Ramirez might get some chances in that 4 spot in the lineup. So Stephen McGlade had a down year for him on the mound last year, but I still really like Steve's stuff. I think he can bounce back. And Kretsch is Kretsch, though. Kretsch is great. Guy's the MVP for a reason. He's going to hit. He's going to pitch. But 8.5 is a great line. I'm going to go a little under just because Mallards are tough. I don't really see them winning that series. So I think 8 wins for the Preds this year.
What do you got, Trevor?
Well, if you remember in last year's season preview, the Predators were a very high point of contention in my life after they came out hot. And I had picked them, to not win many games at all. I think, to echo what Jimmy said, that 4th spot in the lineup and, whether McGlade can get back to having good stuff and getting guys out. Those are going to be the key factors. And then again, like he said, Warda and Russell really have to step up, and they have to have the type of season they had last year where they came through in the clutch. I'm going to bet against that happening again this year, and I would take the under on this number as well.
Yeah, consistent. You are consistently a hater of the Preds, so I'm glad you're staying on brand. All right. Hitting the halfway point. We've got the Diamondbacks at 4th, also 8.5 wins. Pretty nice little bell curve we've got here. Quite a few teams at 8.5. Diamondbacks. All right, hard for you to be unbiased on this one, Jimmy. But before we go much further, do you have anything to announce in terms of an upcoming retirement or anything like that? That's been what we've been doing on the show recently. So I'll give you an opportunity.
Not that I know of at the moment. I'll let you know if anything comes up, but right now I think I'm good to go. I'm good to play this year. I'm good to go.
All right. 8.5 wins. How do you think this is going to turn out?
Again, I think this is a really good line because I view the Preds and D-backs as very similar teams. Kind of need some guys to step up on our team as well. 8.5 is fair. I like our out of division matchups this year. I wish we would play the Magic earlier in the year because I think as the Magic go on, they're going to become better and better as those new guys get more comfortable. And unfortunately, we play the Magic last. 8.5. Obviously, I gotta be confident. I gotta go over. I think our big weakness last year was our secondary pitching. Outside of myself, not really one guy really stepped up and took control of that role. This year, I don't think that'll be the case. I'm super confident. We have a lot of different guys who've been putting in a lot of work on the mound, and I think they're all going to be good. Jonah's a guy who I think had a down year in the regular season last year. I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. 2021, we're talking about a guy who was an all-star. He was really good for us. Michael Shima, you guys know I love me some Shima. I'm high on him every single year. Hopefully, this is the year he finally breaks out at the plate and gets it done. Super excited about our draft pick, too, Jake Pishka. Not a lot of people really know a lot about Jake, but Jake rakes, man. Jake can hit at the plate a little bit, so I'm excited about him. Only thing is, he lives super far away. I know for a fact he won't be at our first series of the year, so getting him out there is going to be tough. And then Trey and Casey, I already promised those guys their role is going to be big this year, too. They're going to get a lot more chances to prove themselves. So 8.5, again, think it's a really good line. D-backs, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I can see us three-peating. I can see us missing the playoffs. That's just the reality of how good this league is right now. So it's going to be a tough year for us, but I think we can do it. Over.
What was your record in the regular season last year?
5-10, but as Jonah Heath said, we could go 4-11 this year and win it all. So why not?
All right, Trevor, go.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the under on this number, and the reason why is I think with all the different kind of parts that the Diamondbacks have, where they're going to get these guys some work, see what they have with the different guys, give them a chance. I don't think they're going to value the regular season as much as from a obviously going to try to win games, but you're trying to see what you got and make it to the playoffs and then go from there. The additional thing is that, you know, with 4 people in the lineup, obviously some other guys are going to have to step up because it becomes a lot easier to pitch around Jimmy a little bit. And, you know, so I think just from the idea that I think they're going to be exploring different options with their lineup, getting a bunch of different guys some looks. And also I think their schedule, as Jimmy mentioned, they played the Magic later in the season, which I think is not good for them. And they have some other tough matchups on the docket. So I think they're going to end up with 7 or 8 wins, make it in the playoffs, and then obviously anything can happen in the playoffs.
All right, halfway done. Next team at 8.5. We've got the Eagles. All right, like I just said, 8.5. Third straight team, 8.5. Nice juicy part of the middle of the league.
Yeah.
4-man lineup is going to definitely change how they go about things. Trevor and I were pretty consistently negative on this team down the stretch last year because of the lineup they used. But how do you think it affects them this year, Jimmy?
Oh yeah, 4-man lineup definitely helps the Eagles in my opinion. They're already hitting 5 guys last year, so now with other teams being used or having to hit 4 guys, it just shows off the Eagles' depth. I am, however, going to go under on the Eagles. I think kind of similar to Barron. Like Dallas was just incredible last year. The guy didn't give up a run in the first half of the season. That's just something you can't expect to happen again. You can expect Dallas to be great. He's going to be great, but no way he can be that good. And then Dan on the mound towards the end of the year, people started figuring him out a little bit. So I think Dan needs to make some changes to his arsenal. He's very predictable on the mound. You know what's coming. You know what pitch is coming. And when you know what's coming, it makes it easier to hit. So, and then from an offensive standpoint, I think what I like about them is they're very consistent throughout their whole lineup. Dan at the top is going to be great. I'd like to see Dallas hit for a little bit more power. He hits for a lot of average, or we need some power in there as well. Waylon's super consistent. He's streaky at times, but when Blade's hot, he's hot. So it's a great Eagles team, but 8.5. I think the NL is super tough. I think the NL for the first time is way tougher than the AL, in my opinion. So it's going to be tough for the Eagles to really be 500, and being over 8.5 would be 9 wins. So they're going to be right around there, but I'm going to go under.
All right, Trevor, thoughts?
I'm going to go on the opposite side there and take the over on this one. I don't love it, but I like them to win 9 games. I think the Eagles are like the prototypical regular season team.
Yep.
You know, I think they're going to continue to do well in the regular season. They know what they have with most of their guys. And I think the young guys are going to continue to get better. Obviously, Dan's going to have to make some adjustments, but I think he's along the same lines of Ryan Kratz, where, you know, he can just figure it out and come up with some new things here and there. So yeah, I'm going to go with over. I like their lineup. I like the balance they have. I like them as a team. Obviously, their schedule is a little bit difficult being in the NL, but I still like them to win 9 games.
And they've got Cobras and Wildcats, I think.
Correct.
On the crossover, so it makes it a little tough. All right, so you like the over?
I do.
Okay, another $100 then. I'll take the under.
Sure.
All right. Next, surprisingly, after all the years of dominance, in the 6th position, we've got the Wildcats at 6.5 wins. Quick shout out, Nick Saylor. Nick, I bought your jersey, buddy. You got to come on the show. Those are the rules. All right, back to that 6.5. Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm super high on the Wildcats this year. I think people are sleeping on the Wildcats big time. I think they actually have a chance to win the division, and my unbiased prediction is that they will get back to the World Series this year. I don't know about winning it. I think they're going to get there. So I'm super high on the Cats. What people think their flaws right now is their secondary pitching, which makes sense. I mean, Sailor, his arsenal isn't great, but personally, you guys know that I'm buddies with Nick Sailor. We've been working a lot, and he's developed a lot of new pitches. So he's going to be good, better on the mound this year. I think Kyle's still Kyle. Pearson also can pitch. I don't know if you guys watched the spring training video, but if Jackson Pearson gets his chance to pitch, I think he's going to take it and run, so he'll be good as well. And when we talk about a lineup, there's really no better big three than those three guys. The one thing that hurts this team was that trade in the draft. I don't think it made any sense at all. They could have went out there and actually got a good four bat and made their lineup ridiculous. Like it would have been a crazy 1 through 4, and they chose not to do that. Hopefully Liam Jackson can bounce back, but I mean, when you trade the number 3 pick for a guy who hit like 070 last year, that just doesn't make sense to me. The other 3 picks in MLW history were Nick Sailor, Dallas Allen, and Sawyer Bean. Those are 3 pretty good players. So when you talk about adding one of those caliber players to your lineup, I don't understand why they didn't take that chance, but I still like the Wildcats a lot, and I'm definitely going over.
Trevor?
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy here taking the over on the Wildcats. I also am high on them. Also disagree with their selection in the draft or their non-selection, their trade. But yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see how they handle the pitching staff. I could see, I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but I could see scenarios where each of them pitches one game. And I think that's something you haven't really seen before in MLW, which is a different wrinkle. Having one guy throw, each game, get a different look from each game. So I don't know what you think about that, Jimmy, if you think that's a possibility, and what if you think that's a bonus to them or not. I kind of think it is.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know that they can hit. So
Yeah, Trevor, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I hope they do that. I think it'd be super smart if they did because all 3 of those guys, none of them, in my opinion, are like an ace, like superstar elite pitcher in this league. But if you mix it up and you're seeing 3 different guys in 3 different games, that becomes tough to hit. And again, like Kyle's going to be good. Sailor is worked hard to add a couple of new pitches. And like I said, Jackson's good as well. So all 3 of them can pitch. And I think that'd be a super smart advantage and strength that they have if they choose to use it.
All
yeah,
right.
and I think I would throw Kyle the first game, Sailor the second game, and Pearson the third game. You get Kyle, with a lot of movement on his pitches, and then you come Sailor with who knows what he's going to do,
Yep.
and then finish with Jackson. I think that's the way to do it.
I like it a lot.
All right. So our first strong opinion from both of you that perhaps Vegas got this number wrong, but crossover series for them are Mallards and Eagles.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
that doesn't help them a lot. So that's one of the reasons they're at 6.5. All right. 7th, we've got the Magic, and we've got them at 4.5 wins. All right. This was the toughest number to make because their lineup is so drastically different, and not a lot is known about their new guys that they've got. My first question, Jimmy, the most important question I have on my whole sheet here, do you know, is James Swanson back this year?
He's on the reserves, so he's not like on their active roster, but in an emergency, if they need him, he can play. But yeah, he's still looking for that first hit.
We're huge fans of his. We more than anything, we want him to get a hit. All right, 4.5 wins. They got the number 1 pick in the draft, Miller. He's going to be on the show sooner rather than later, so we're excited to talk to him. But lay it on us, Jimmy. What do you think?
Yeah, you guys are gonna love Grant, by the way. Super cool guy. But 4.5, you're right. It is just a tough line. This team could be so good, they could be so bad. We really don't know. It's kind of a question mark. One thing I do know is Grant Miller's gonna rake. He's gonna be like Robles at the plate. On the mound, I'm not too sure what they're gonna do. Bonham definitely needs to figure it out a little bit. He's got to evolve and add some new pitches. I think they're going to get off to a slow start, like I said, with the new guys adjusting, but I can also see them finishing very strong. I'm going to go over, but again, barely. Like I think it's a really good line, 4.5. Grant's going to carry that lineup, but it's like the Preds and kind of the Diamondbacks. What are the guys behind them going to do? Got to remember, RJ Walgate's only 14 years old. The kid's he's going to be nervous. Like everybody's nervous. I was nervous for my first game, and I was 19 years old. So, and now the league's only bigger, and the kid's 14 on a big stage, so it's going to be tough. And then Curdy, what's he going to do with the plate? You never really know, kind of a question mark. So lineup still isn't great to me. Pitching decent. It's all really comes down to what Grant can do on the mound. So I'm going to go over, but barely with this Magic team.
All right, Trevor, what do you like?
Yeah, same. I'm in the same boat. I think they're going to get off to a rough start. I think it takes a bit to adjust. Grant is going to have to adjust to the rules and all those other things, just to seeing different pitching and all that, everything that comes with that. So I think they'll get off to a rough start, but I think they'll barely get over the over at the very end of the season. I think they might only have 1 or 2 wins going into the final 2 series, and they'll squeak out 3 wins to cover the over there. So, but I don't love it, but I think they'll win 5 games.
All right. They're exciting to look forward to. Big unknown.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is that a Chadwick jersey still back there?
Yeah. I was trying to keep the motif. I do have the Moxie King Curdy jersey on, but it just didn't fit with the flow of the show. But that's all I got.
All right, we need to get that Grant Miller jersey then, right?
Yeah.
Is it on the shop yet?
Not sure, but if it's not yet, it definitely will be at some point because the fans are gonna like Grant. He'll get a jersey.
Kyle, if you're watching this and you put a Swanson jersey up, that's an automatic purchase. He's been on the show. He was on the Super Bowl preview show in the archives. All right. Last team, Gators. All right. This is a real simple question, guys. Do you know why the Gators are listed 8th?
You got them projected to lose the most games.
Because there aren't 9 teams.
That's also fair.
Over under 3.5 for the Gators. We love the Gators. Huge fans of all the guys. Been on lots of times on the show. Appreciate their friendship. Think their team stinks this year. 3.5. What do we got?
I tell the Gators in my dream world that we both find a way to make the playoffs because I love those guys too. But 3.5, I think I'm gonna go over. You know what, Chris Cheatham, those guys, they're coming into this season very angry. There's 4 out of state series this year, which means 8 teams, right? But the Gators somehow are not going. So I can tell you right now, they're not happy about that. They're already mad about that. They're not happy that everybody's already writing them off, and you got to play the games. I think Chris Cheatham's still a great 2-way player. Georgie can't be any worse on the mound. The guy's stuff is too good, by the way. So I think he's going to be better. 4-man lineups actually, I think, do help the Gators because they don't really have a hole in their lineup, in my opinion. I think everybody can hit. They're just not great. I mean, Chris can be great, and I hope he is great again. But like I said, too, they actually play the Magic their first series of the year, which I think helps them because the Magic, like I said, they're going to be unknown at that point, and I think they can win that series. So that'd be 2 wins right there if that happens, and I think they can squeak out a couple more. I hope this team finds a way to make the playoffs as long as it's not my team missing. But yeah, I'm going to go over on the Gators.
All right, Trevor.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to talk about the Gators here because this is my hot take of the season. We're going over on the Gators. I like them. They're going to not only they're going to go over, they're going to go over after the first 2 series. They're going to win the first 2 series. They're going to beat the Magic. They're going to beat the Cobras. Their home team in their first 3 series. And then, they finish up at the Mallards, which I don't think they're going to win. But then they finish up, they get the Eagles in the 4th series of the season. And, I don't know. I think they'll be right there fighting for playoff contention when it comes down to it. I think these guys, it's easy to be down on them, right? They had a bad season like we predicted they would. But these guys, they have pride. They're going to be working I think they're working off on the off season, and I think they're going to come back strong. And I think if they're going to try to really shut the people up that are doubting them, and they're like Jimmy said, I think they're pissed about this special series thing. So let's go Gators.
Aside from Cheatham, who's going to hit?
Chadwick's got to bounce back a little bit. Chadwick has to be better. I'm telling you, he's still got it in him. And Georgie, he can put the ball in play. If he puts the ball in play with that speed, if he puts it on the ground, that's almost a hit every time for him. So all he's got to do is put it in play. But I think Chadwick's going to be a lot better. Maybe 4 or 5 homers on Chadwick this year. It's my bold prediction.
That's right. And I mean, Zerlag did not have a great season last year, but the year before that he did. And I think he can easily get some hits too. So I think they have and I don't know if Reese Harris is going to play a role this year or how that's going to go. But obviously not having a pick hurts. But I'm confident in these guys. I think they can make a comeback.
I'm very concerned about Georgie, him getting doubled off second base on a routine fly ball to center field. I'm not high hopes. Trevor, this will be our 3rd bet. I'm going to take the under.
Okay. The baseball player in me knows what happened there. I saw it. He saw Kyle.
Yep.
and knew that Kyle wasn't going to get to it, and he didn't see whoever was playing second and caught the ball. Yeah, didn't see him in this peripheral, and so that's what he saw. I totally understand what happened there.
Yep.
All right. All right. So Trevor and I got 3 bets out of that. We've taken up quite a bit of time going over the individual teams and their over-unders. For gambling purposes, everybody, betting on over-unders is the simplest thing in the world. If you want to bet on the team to win more games than we said, you take the over. If you think they're going to win fewer, you take the under. That's easy. These last 3 things we're going to go over real quick. We'll do our the Fade the Mahoney worldwide release of the power rankings. They're similar to the season win, and they coincide with the World Series odds. We've got the Mallards at 3-1 to win the championship. We've got the D-backs at 4-1. We've got the Predators at 5-1. We've got the Cobras at 6-1. Eagles at 7-1. Wildcats. You're going to like this, Jimmy. You're going to put a lot of money on this. 12-1. We've got them at 12-1. Magic are 20-1, and we've got the Gators down at 50-1, which is pretty tough to get to 50-1 when there's only 8 teams, but that's what we got. So I'll go ahead and pencil you in for a futures bet on the Wildcats.
Yeah, sounds about right. Just don't tell anybody.
All right. Trevor, anything there jump out to you that you'd wager on?
I agree with the Wildcats. Obviously, I'm in the same boat there. I mean, at 50-1, you're telling me there's a chance. I might drop 100 down on the Gators there just at 50-1. I feel like, it's the MLW. Anything can happen, right? You make it to the playoffs. Obviously, it's the NL they have to get through, which is tough. You have to beat the 2-time defending champions, and you have to beat Jordan Robles. Very difficult to do. But I think that's the type where I might put some money down on it now, and then cash the ticket in or something if I can at some point if the odds go down. But Mike, also very important on the YouTubes here, you have to tell people, if they like a side over or under, leave it in the comments below. All right, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at the YouTubing, so what Trevor said, do that. Like, subscribe, share with like 10 or 50 friends. That'd be very, very helpful. All right. For MVP, we have 6 people listed on the odds. The way this works is we have Jordan Robles as the favorite at 5-2. That means for every $2 you bet on him, you get $5 back if he wins it. And then Jimmy, you're 4-1. Ryan is 5-1. Ryan Cratch is 5-1. Dallas Allen is 6-1. Our guy Grant Miller is 8-1, just because we don't really know so much about him yet. Kyle Schultz at 10-1, and if you want to take everybody else in the league, you'll get 15-1 if anybody else wins it. Jimmy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm super high on Robles. He would definitely be my favorite to win MVP too. But for the money wise, I don't know. I like, what was Dallas? Do you guys even say Dallas?
Yeah, he's 6-1.
Yeah, I like Dallas. I think Dallas could have if Dallas just hits for more power this year, and it does exactly what it does last year, he'd be right there. So I think Dallas, that's good odds for Dallas.
All right. Trevor?
Yeah, I would say Dallas, or I mean, the field at 15-1. I feel like if it was 20-1, I'd probably take the field. You have guys like Nick Saylor, and I mentioned Brendan Baranowski. If he can hit the ball, and continue pitching the way he did last season, I think those guys are options for MVP. I mean, you kind of forget Nick Saylor was right up there in pretty much every statistical category last season, and he's probably pitching and hitting. And so, there's a chance that he does the same thing. And if the Wildcats win 10 games in the regular season, make it to the World Series, it's probably going to be because Nick Saylor has an incredible season. So, if I was going to, I don't know that I like it at 15-1. I think it needs be a little bit longer than that. Maybe in season, as the like Robles gets off to a hot start and the odds for the field go down a little bit, then maybe I'd take a bite there.
All right.
Yep.
Last category, Cy Young. We've got three people tied for the lead, all at 3-1. We've got Dallas Allen, we've got the Red Baron, and we've got Jordan Robles. They're all at 3-1. Ryan Cratch is 4-1. Jimmy, you're 6-1. Our guy Grant Miller is 8-1, and again the field for this one is 10-1. Jimmy, Cy Young.
Yeah, so I would definitely put money on Cratch because personally I think Cratch would be my favorite actually going into this year to win it. But also, hate to be that guy, but I would put some on myself, I think. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I feel like coming into this year, I've been telling some guys in the league that this is the most confident I've actually ever felt on the mound. I'm interested to see how I hit this year, but on the mound, I feel really good. I've been working on some new pitches. I feel like it's the first time where I can locate pretty much anything I want and can throw it for a strike at any time. So I'm super excited to be back on the mound this year. So we'll
Great.
see.
You're all healed up?
I feel good. I feel good. Spring training, nothing there. I haven't felt anything in the leg throwing. So yeah, I feel really good right now.
All right. Trevor?
I mean, straight from the horse's mouth there. How can you not take Jimmy at 6-1? That's the bottom line right there. I think the rest of the odds look good. I kind of agree. I think Pratt should probably be even with those other guys, or maybe even a little bit ahead.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I mean, it really could be any of these guys. I don't like the field. I don't think there's anybody. I can't imagine anyone that's not on this list winning Cy Young.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That is the 2023 MLW gambling season preview. I challenge anyone to find me a more comprehensive gambling preview than what you guys just saw. I challenge you. Send it my way if you see it. Please leave comments down below on bets you would make, something that you think is really wrong. Again, please like and subscribe. Trevor and I, our goal is to come back once and hopefully twice every week during the season. We'd like to have a guest on in between every series to recap and preview. And then we're throwing around some ideas about doing potentially a short recap show for a series, just the two of us every week. So we're going to try to figure that out. Jimmy, you're the best. You're so gracious and generous with your time. But again, not retiring.
Not retiring. D-back nation. Let's go. 3 in a row. Let's go. Come on.
Our streak of retirement announcements ends at 1. Shout out Drew Davis. Trevor, any final comments? Are you pumped?
I am so excited. We Andrew and I, my son, are counting down the hours till Friday when we get to watch opening day. And MLW is back, baby. Let's go.
All right. Jimmy, thanks again, buddy. And good gambling, everybody.